Today we're in Saint Pierre and Miquelon. It's actually owned by France, right here on the coast of Canada. Let's show you a look out my balcony window, and then we're going to go into town and I'll show you what you can do when you really have no plans for the day. I had the perfect view from my balcony to watch as the ship lowered lifeboats, which will be used to shuttle cruise passengers to the shore. Tender boat stopped right here. There's an information center as you get off, and then you walk by this neat little row of what looks to be little storage buildings. One of these buildings was a free museum with a display of fishing equipment and photos, lots of tools and hats. This is a better view of the storage buildings and all the fishing boats, or dories, that are tied up outside. I learned that these are called boathouses, and we were welcomed inside this pretty blue one too. My husband even gets a chance to pose as though he's reeling in one of the dories out of the water. It's a pretty long pier to the nearby lighthouse, but most people make that trek, and I can see our ship anchored in the distance. Several lifeboats are sailing back and forth from the ship to the shore, and you can get a better full view of where the lifeboats dock, the ramp to the shore, the information tent, and all the boathouses and dories. As we leave the lighthouse, we follow the sidewalk toward the town. These cannons look like they're pointing right at our ship. There are various things to look at along the shoreside as we walk on the sidewalk. We just kind of follow the crowd and assume they know where they're going, watching my footing due to the uneven patches of the sidewalk. I see a cool monument across the way with some benches. It's a monument to missing soldiers. We follow the fishies on the sidewalk from that monument away from the shoreline to explore. And after going through that gate, I look back to see the amphitheater. And while I'm here, let me ask you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you're finding anything useful, of value, or just enjoyable, if you will give it a thumbs up and perhaps leave a comment. All of those things help me with YouTube. Thanks a lot. Seeing a church in the distance, we head that way. There's another sign, and I don't have to know French to figure out which way it points to the public toilet. There's a hotel, a better photo op for the church. How about a close-up of this church door and all the beautiful stonework? And a sign indicating that there might be an information center up ahead. This colorful building is getting some restoration work done, and I like this orange house, go UT, these neat little boxes beside houses that are for the delivery of coal. Look at this fun door and window frames. And Google Translate tells me that this sign says it is the house of the firefighter. We continue getting in some steps and wandering the streets. We can go up the hill or maybe back down the hill, but we will continue to go in the direction of the arrow for information and potential other sites to see. And as we turn the corner up the hill, we see an informational sign and map on the side of this building. According to this sign, Saint Pierre was named in honor of the patron saint of fishermen, and there is other interesting info about the island on this sign. And a blessing saying, the town of Saint Pierre wishes you a pleasant stay. I looked up what M-A-I-R-I-E means, and I discovered that this is the City Hall building. Here's another sign. Should we go left? Should we go straight? Straight up the hill wins. Look at these old sidewalks. Some concrete with colorful stones are mixed in, and up ahead is a landscaping planter that looks like a giraffe. We finally made it to the top. There's our ship in the distance, and we get a much better appreciation of the hills we just climbed. Lots of birds swirling around over the water, and I can see the small inhabited island in the distance too. It did not take any time at all to feel like we were far out of town. This landscape reminds me of what we saw in Iceland last year. I wasn't expecting to see a waterfall on our exploration today. Here at the top of the hill, I see another sign indicating that maybe I should go left, so let's go. I see a crucifix at the top of the hill that looks interesting, but I'm about hilled out, so zooming in is as close as I'm going to get. This looks like a point of interest. Lots of folks stopping to read the sign. Turns out this is the prefectorial residence. We made it back down the hill. Remember this monument we saw earlier before we started our uphill exploration? If we had just kept going along the waterfront instead of climbing the hill, we would have seen that there's a post office and the section of the town that most tourists go to. This yellow structure is the Director of Finance building. There's an indoor carousel on the left and other buildings of interest up ahead. Looking right, I see the green building houses the Heritage Museum. According to their website, it is open from Tuesday to Saturday from 2 to 5 p.m. and has 10 rooms full of exhibits. There's another informational sign. Let's check it out. It has the same information as the sign that we saw up the hill, but take a closer look at this picture. I would not want to live here in the winter. Climbing those hills would be so much worse than we had it. The sign shows the direction to the hospital and the airport. Since I don't plan to visit either one of them, let's veer to my right and pop into this visitor information building. There's a beautiful mural on the side. If I had known to come here first, I could have booked a tour right here. Looks like extended hours at the museum. There's a taxi boat over to Sailor's Island that we saw from the top of the hill. They're advertising the Zigatos Association at the boathouses. There's a virtual gallery, a shopping tour that leaves from here, a farmer's market, a sailboat nature tour, and a bus tour, although that bus tour departs long after our ship sails today. I purchased a postcard and a stamp here, and my goal is to mail it from the post office and hope it makes it back to my house. Looks like the carousel is open for business, and a child chose to ride the helicopter. There's horses, Cinderella's carriage, a fancy car, an airplane, lots of fun choices. Gotta get a French pastry. There's a long line at the bakery, and we will see if it's worth it. My 2 pastries cost €3.60. Both were cream-filled, and both were delicious. Back at the square, there was supposed to be a performance at noon, but they canceled due to a prediction of rain. Looking back to where we just came from, that yellow building houses the public restrooms, and up ahead to the left is that post office. And if you go straight ahead across the crosswalk, it takes you back to the carousel and the area for the visitor center and the museum and the bakery. We make our way back toward the ship. It's not crowded in front of this engraved stone now. Go past the lighthouse, pass back in front of the boathouses, and line up to board the tender boats. It was a great day in Saint Pierre and Miquelon. Actually, we were just in the Saint Pierre part of the two, and we had a wonderful day, managed to get back to the ship before it really started raining. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.